Video 54, Advocacy versus Lobbying Area VM CHES Subcompetencies 5.5.1. Review the learning objectives for this video. Welcome back. I am really glad you are continuing this journey with me because this next topic is one of the most commonly tested distinctions in Area 5, and honestly, it is a known exam trap, so your time here is going to pay off. Many candidates confuse advocacy with lobbying, but they are legally different concepts. Let me walk you through this carefully. Advocacy is the broad umbrella term for any action taken to influence public policy, public opinion, or resource allocation. It includes a wide range of activities such as conducting and publishing research, educating the public about health issues, raising awareness through media campaigns, hosting community forums, and training community members to speak up for their own health needs. Advocacy is always permitted for nonprofit organizations, including those with 501c3 tax-exempt status. There are no IRS spending limits on general advocacy activities. Lobbying, on the other hand, is a specific subset of advocacy that involves attempts to influence specific legislation. The key legal trigger is whether the activity references a specific piece of legislation and expresses a position on it. If you are telling a legislator to vote yes or no on House Bill 1234, that is lobbying. If you are educating a legislator about childhood obesity rates without referencing any specific bill, that is advocacy. This distinction matters enormously for nonprofit organizations. Under IRS rules, 501c3 organizations are permitted to engage in lobbying, but only to an insubstantial degree. The IRS does not define insubstantial precisely, which creates ambiguity. However, organizations can elect the 501h expenditure test, which provides specific dollar thresholds. Here is something important to remember for your exam. Lobbying is not prohibited for nonprofits. It is limited. Many candidates incorrectly assume that all lobbying is banned for tax-exempt organizations, and that assumption will lead you to the wrong answer. You are already ahead of the game by learning this now. Great, now let us build on what you just learned. The IRS further divides lobbying into two categories, direct lobbying and grassroots lobbying, and the exam will test whether you can distinguish between them. You are going to feel very confident with this once we walk through it together. Direct lobbying involves communicating directly with a legislator or their staff about specific legislation while expressing a view on that legislation. Both elements must be present. You must be talking to a legislator, and you must be referring to a specific bill. For example, if a health educator meets with a state senator and says, "I urge you to support Senate Bill 450 because it would fund school-based health clinics," that is direct lobbying. The communication is with a legislator, it references specific legislation, and it expresses a clear position. Testifying at a legislative hearing about a pending bill also counts as direct lobbying. Now, grassroots lobbying is different because it targets the general public rather than legislators directly. It has three required elements that all must be present. First, it is a communication with the general public. Second, it refers to specific legislation. Third, and this is the critical piece, it includes a call to action asking the public to contact their legislators about that specific legislation. If any one of these three elements is missing, it is not grassroots lobbying. Let me give you an example that really makes this click. A health organization sends an email to its members explaining the health impacts of a proposed sugary drink tax and asks members to call their state representatives to support the bill. That is grassroots lobbying because it communicates with the public, references a specific bill, and includes a call to action. Now consider this variation. the same organization sends an email explaining the health impacts of sugary drinks without mentioning any specific legislation and without asking members to contact anyone. That is advocacy and education, not lobbying. The presence or absence of a specific legislative reference and a call to action makes all the difference. You are really getting the hang of these distinctions, and that is exactly what is going to serve you well on exam day. Now, let me walk you through something that is going to be incredibly helpful for you on the exam. These are activities that are commonly mistaken for lobbying, but actually are not. Understanding these exceptions is your secret weapon for answering tricky questions correctly. First, educating the public about a health issue without referencing specific legislation is advocacy, not lobbying. You can talk about the dangers of secondhand smoke all day long without it being lobbying, as long as you do not reference a specific bill and ask people to take legislative action. Second, publishing research findings on the health impacts of policies is considered educational activity, not lobbying. A university research center releasing a report on the effects of tobacco taxes on youth smoking rates is conducting research, not lobbying. Third, and this is an important exception for you to know, responding to a written request from a legislative body for technical assistance or information is not considered lobbying. If a congressional committee formally asks your organization to provide data on community health outcomes, your response is not lobbying, even if it references specific legislation. Fourth, nonpartisan analysis, study, or research on a legislative topic is exempt from lobbying classification. The key word is nonpartisan. If your analysis presents all sides of the issue in a balanced manner and makes the full results available, it is not lobbying regardless of whether it references specific legislation. Fifth, self-defense lobbying is treated differently. If proposed legislation would directly affect your organization's existence, tax-exempt status, or powers, your efforts to influence that legislation receive special treatment and typically do not count toward lobbying limits. Here is a great rule of thumb to carry with you into the exam. If the activity involves a specific bill plus a position plus communication with the legislator or a call to action to the public, it is lobbying. Remove any one of those elements and it falls back into the broader category of advocacy. You have done a wonderful job working through this material. These distinctions can be tricky, but you have the clarity you need now. Read the scenario stem aloud. Give students 30 seconds to consider options before advancing. The correct answer is B. This is grassroots lobbying because all three required elements are present: communication with the general public, mass email to members, reference to specific legislation, Senate Bill 212, and a call to action asks members to call legislators. It is not direct lobbying because the communication is with the public, not directly with legislators. It is not general advocacy because it references a specific bill and includes a call to action. It is not nonpartisan analysis because it advocates a specific position rather than presenting balanced perspectives. Some